Billionaire forgets his wallet at midnight. What the waitress did will haunt you forever. It was the kind of night where secrets floated like ghosts between the dimly lit tables of the Silver Fork, the fanciest restaurant downtown. Michael Brandt, the billionaire known for turning companies into gold, sat in a secluded corner. His sharp features glistened in the candlelight, a mix of arrogance and charm pulling everyone towards him. But tonight, visibility was low, an eerie fog rolled in from the outside, wrapping around the city like a suffocating blanket. An unlucky twist of fate struck as he waved the server over, only to reach for his wallet and find nothing. His face twisted in disbelief. He shoved his hand into his tailored coat pockets, panic coursing through him. Somewhere in this upscale bustle, money, reputation, and a sense of security all slipped through his fingers. The hum of chatter faded as the waitress, Claire, approached, her expression unreadable. Long dark hair cascaded over her shoulder, and her uniform clung slightly, accentuating her slender form. She had seen plenty of wealthy patrons, but none as visibly lost as him. The atmosphere thickened, it felt like everyone leaned in, waiting for a revelation. "Sir, do you need a moment?" she asked, her voice as calm as a steady heartbeat in a storm. But this wasn't just about money. It was about what came next. The tension pulsed in the air, wrapping tighter as Michael glanced around. If anyone found out he was stranded, his shame would echo through the privileged circles he inhabited. Did Claire have a plan? Did she see a chance for something unexpected? Her eyes flickered, catching a glimpse of desperation behind his bravado. Suddenly, the restaurant itself seemed to hold its breath. The fancy chandeliers glimmered ominously, shadows danced with curiosity, and the sound of cutlery hitting porcelain became deafeningly loud. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." A shiver ran through Michael as he tried to mask his vulnerability, but the truth was palpable. He was trapped in a glittering prison built on wealth and status. Claire's gaze grew sharper, and for a fleeting moment, he could see that glimmer of something in the depths of her eyes. Was it pity? Or did she have a plan, some secret knowledge that could either redeem him or bury him deeper? As the faint sounds of laughter rang through the restaurant, sharp and mocking, all eyes turned toward them. The atmosphere cracked like glass, sharp and dangerous. The question lingered in the air. What would Claire decide? And in her hands, would she hold the power to elevate him or let him fall helplessly from grace, leaving an indelible mark forever in his mind? The very scenario daunted him. The night was far from over, but the stakes just shot through the roof. The answer could change everything. Claire stood frozen, the weight of the moment pressing against her chest. The restaurant felt stifling now, a theater filled with curious spectators, all jaws tight with whispered judgments. As if sensing that she held the fate of a billionaire in her hands, she took a breath. "Mr. Brandt," she began, her voice firm though she felt anything but steady, "I think we can work something out." Michael's desperation flickered in his eyes, a desperate spark igniting hope within the wreck of his pride. "Anything. Just please." But his words hung heavy, dripping with unspoken need. How far could he go to resolve this? The overhead lights dimmed further, and the fog outside thickened, swallowing the city in an almost suffocating cloak. An unsettling chill crept through the restaurant, sending a shiver down Claire's spine. She could only imagine the rumors that would spiral if word of Michael's predicament ever got out. She had her own life to protect and her own dreams festered in the shadows. "But what can I do?" she continued, her heart pounding, the figure of the billionaire now a storm cloud looming over her. "I'll make it worth your while," he said, desperation suffusing his tone. His bravado felt both fragile and powerful in that moment, fragile like glass and powerful enough to carve paths through their wildest imaginations. "Is that a promise, Mr. Brandt? Or is it just another line in your book of charm?" Claire raised an eyebrow, the challenge sparking something dangerous between them, something unwise. She was aware that indulging him could send her spiraling into depths she wasn't ready to confront. Around them, murmurs erupted. A group in the near corner smirked into their wine glasses, fingers pointed discreetly in their direction. Michael felt the weight of 100 eyes on him, like spears aimed at his honor, ready to pierce through every layer of his carefully crafted persona. Suddenly, Claire leaned in closer, her confidence slipping back into the shadows that surrounded them. "What do you want?" she asked quietly, almost in a whisper. Michael's expression shifted, the flicker of hope quickly morphed into sheer determination. "If you can help me out tonight, I'll grant you a favor, anything you want. No strings attached." The intensity in his gaze surged as if he were sealing a pact with his own desperation. She met his stare, the air electrifying as she weighed the truth behind his words. The tension coiled tightly, teasing the brink of something unexpected, something that left both of them suspended on the edge of a razor. A promise from a man who could change her life or ruin it. "I just need to borrow some time," he pressed, the silent plea resonating in the charged air around them. "I have my own bills to pay, Mr. Brandt." "It's not just about your dilemma," she countered, a small part of her wishing for the power his wealth afforded. As she sought answers within herself, an inexplicable noise erupted from the back of the restaurant. The glass doors burst open, cold air rushing in as a hooded figure stumbled inside. The energy shifted instantly. Fear, suspicion, and curiosity crackled like fire in the room. Claire's heart raced. She turned to find Michael's expression morphing from desperation to something darker and unsettling: recognition. Whatever had walked through those doors, it held a secret threatening to ripple through their fragile pact. "Michael, what do you know about that?" she asked, feeling the knot in her stomach tighten. But before he could respond, a single word echoed through the air, sending shockwaves across the dimly lit room: "Help." As all eyes fixed on the new arrival, the stakes shifted once more, and Claire felt an undeniable shiver run down her spine, a premonition that this night had just taken a turn into the unknown. What would happen next? Would morality blur, or would secrets unravel in the fog? The night was far from over. Secrets now danced in the air, waiting to be unveiled. What lay hidden in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to strike? The hooded figure swayed slightly, disoriented but clearly desperate. The room held its breath, eyes narrowing as they studied the intruder. Claire could feel the tension thickening the air, like charged static before a storm. She strained to catch a glimpse of the person's face as they pulled back the hood, revealing a disheveled woman, eyes darting frantically. "Help me," she implored again, her voice cracking. The restaurant's chatter faded into a murmur, curiosity mingling with rising alarm. Claire took a cautious step forward, drawn by something instinctual. "Are you okay? What is going on?" she asked, her voice steady despite the creeping fear in her stomach. The woman blinked rapidly, glistening tears catching the dim light. They're coming. They know where I am." A visible shiver racked her body, and her gaze flitted around the room, as if expecting shadows to creep from every corner. Michael's expression darkened, his earlier bravado evaporating into thin air. "What are you talking about?" he demanded, shifting closer to Claire as the crowd began to murmur once more, apprehension fanning the flames of tension. "I can't stay here," the woman stammered, urgency spilling from her lips. "They'll find me. You have to help, please." Without thinking, Claire stepped closer, instinct overriding any sense of self-preservation. "Who's coming? Who's after you?" "I don't know." The woman shrieked, panic seeping into her words. "All I know is they won't stop until they silence me." Suddenly, the thud of a heavy boot echoed from outside, halting everyone mid-breath. Eyes darted toward the glass doors, now dimly lit by the street lamp struggling against the fog. Each heartbeat echoed like thunder in Claire's ears. "Get down!" Someone in the back screamed, but it was too late. With a swift motion, the glass doors burst open again, this time revealing a trio of men with menacing glares and faces obscured by caps. Their demeanor resonated with unfathomable intensity, a predator's focus honed in on the terrified woman at the center. Michael instinctively took a step back, pulling Claire with him. "What do they want?" he rasped, his earlier confidence shattered, replaced by raw fear. the woman's face paled further. The words hung suspended in the air, abruptly interrupted as one of the men shouted, "There she is." His voice boomed over the gasps and murmurs of the crowd, ignition spreading among them like wildfire. People scrambled, chairs screeching across the floor, but Claire felt stuck in place, eyes locked on the door, fear squeezing her chest tighter. This wasn't just about Michael's downfall anymore, it was about survival, both theirs and the woman's. "Run." Michael barked, and the words snapped Claire back into action. She grabbed the woman's arm, ready to pull her toward the service door that led to the kitchens, but hesitation lingered. "Wait. We need to," Claire started, but Michael interrupted. "Just do it," he urged, his voice straining. The urgency sliced through the chaos, propelling them into motion. They sprinted past stunned faces, the sound of boots thudding closer behind them. Claire felt the adrenaline surge, heart pounding against her ribcage, but just as they neared the service door, it flew open with a crash, and a figure appeared, a grimace on his face, blocking their path. "You're not getting away." Claire skidded to a halt, horror gripping her. She looked at the panicked woman beside her, their escape now thwarted. What were they up against? This was no mere thievery. Shadows of something far darker loomed behind the surface. Despite the growing fear, a defiant spark ignited within Claire. She had to know the truth. "What do you know?" she shouted, voice trembling but unwavering. "Tell me now." The woman took a breath, terror still evident in her gaze. The secrets were about to pour forth. Would they shatter everything Claire thought she knew, or provide the key to surviving the night? The answer lay within reach, but the darkness closing in had no mercy. Would they escape? Or was the night destined to unravel into a web of danger and betrayal? The tension crackled in the air like a live wire, every moment feeling like an eternity. The woman's eyes darted from Claire to the figure blocking their exit, confusion and anguish twisting her features. "Please, you don't understand," she gasped, voice barely above a whisper, the urgency growing palpable. "They're not just after me, it's about what I know the truth about them." "What truth?" Claire insisted, fighting to keep her voice steady over the increasing noise of panic swelling around them. "They're a part of something much bigger," the woman cried, glancing back at the men now trying to push through the crowd toward them. "I'm the only one who knows, and if they get me, none of you will be safe either." The words hit Claire like a slap. A knot of fear buried itself deeper in her chest, but she couldn't let it show. "We need to move," she shouted at Michael, who was frozen with indecision, his grip tightening on her arm. "Where?" he managed, eyes wild. As the thuds of heavy boots grew louder, panic surged like a tidal wave. Claire's instinct screamed at her to escape, but how could they without knowing the whole story? She turned back to the woman, whose expression was a mix of desperation and defiance. "They're coming for a reason," the woman shouted, her voice breaking. "I have evidence that could ruin them. I just need a safe place to explain everything." The shadows of the men were creeping closer, their threats slicing through the din of chaos like jagged glass. Claire felt a shift inside her, the insatiable desire to protect anyone overriding the fear clawing at her stomach. "Let us go," she urged, spinning on her heel and dragging the woman toward the back, the only way leading through the chaos of the kitchen. Michael hesitated for just a second, then followed, determination etched on his face even through his apprehension. They dove into the narrow hallway of the restaurant as the air thick with the smell of grease and food hit them. The rattle of pots and pans mixed with their quickening breaths, creating a cacophony that drowned out the chaos behind them. But the back exit was still a few feet away, and each step felt like running through molasses. Behind them, the men's shouts grew louder, their presence a shadow that loomed over the trio like a dark cloud threatening a downpour. They were gaining ground, boots pounding against the linoleum floor. Suddenly, one of the men shouted something unintelligible, but it sent a jolt directly to Claire's heart. "Keep moving," she barked, pushing the woman forward. "We need to reach the alley," Michael urged, glancing back anxiously. Rounding a corner, Claire spotted a flickering light filtering in from the exit. They barely had to cross a half-empty storage area when the door swung open, revealing damp, fog-laden night. Freedom was so close, yet it felt like a mirage just out of reach. Just as they reached the door, a hand shot out, grabbing Claire's arm with bone-crushing force. "Got you." A voice sneered, and her heart dropped. "Let go," she screamed, twisting violently in an attempt to break free. The woman lunged forward, but a second figure grabbed her, holding her tight. Claire's mind raced, panicking as adrenaline coursed through her veins. "Michael," she called desperately. He was still trying to fend off another attacker who had emerged from the shadows. The scene was chaotic, spiraling like a tornado. A sharp pain erupted in Claire's wrist. She turned to see the man's menacing grin. "Did you really think you could escape?" But before Claire could reply, the woman's frantic screams echoed through the small hallway. "Help! Please! They don't understand." The tide was shifting, and the horror of being trapped washed over Claire like icy water. Would they expose themselves in this dark game of cat and mouse? How far would the shadows stretch before dawn broke, and would it bring with it salvation or doom? As Claire fought for her freedom, a thought pierced through the panic. What had this woman stumbled upon that made her so dangerous, and could it turn out their only hope lay in facing the darkness head-on? The answers hung in the air like dusk, dark and heavy, waiting to be claimed. Claire's heart raced, adrenaline flooding her senses, drowning out all else as she fought against the iron grip holding her. Her mind was a whirlwind, chaotic thoughts spinning together, one sharply flashing clear: they needed to escape. Michael was still struggling, the sound of their attackers chanting threats enough to freeze blood. "Michael!" she yelled again, her voice hoarse with panic. "We can't let them take us." But the man's grip tightened, and Claire felt a fracture of fear seep into her bones. The man leered at her, eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction. "Struggling one to help you." That's when she caught sight of the woman trapped in the shadows. Tears streamed down her face, but amidst the terror, there was a flicker of determination. The woman was a soldier in a fight Claire couldn't yet see. Just then, Michael's struggle intensified. He landed a hard punch to his attacker's gut, and the man gasped, releasing Claire. Without thinking, she spun around and bolted for the door, adrenaline propelling her forward like a runaway train. "Get her!" Someone shouted behind them. Michael was right at her heels, the two of them a sprinting blur as they tore into the alley, pushing through the heavy mist that hung like a shroud. Claire glanced back, her heart sank. Shadows surged from the doorway, pouring into the alley. "Keep going," she yelled, forcing her legs to pedal faster, driven by raw fear. A grating sound filled the silence around them, hurling Claire's thoughts back into that narrow hallway. "We need to find somewhere safe," she shouted, scanning the dark alley for any kind of refuge. There. An unlit doorway led to a cramped storage room stacked with old crates and forgotten junk. "In there," Claire directed, shoving the door open. They both stumbled inside, the darkness swallowing them whole. "Are they gone?" Michael panted, trying to catch his breath. "I don't know," Claire replied, pressing her back against the door and straining to listen. The distant shouts echoed faintly, but her pulse thundered in her ears. The woman stumbled in behind them, her fear palpable, but also something more: resolve. She steadied herself against a stacked crate, eyes gleaming with urgency. "You have to believe me." "They won't stop." "What are you talking about?" Michael demanded, his brow furrowed in confusion and anger. "Who are they?" "The syndicate," she breathed, inhaling deeply as if summoning the strength to share her revelations. "They're involved in a web of corruption. Money laundering, human trafficking. They own people in this city. If I go down, everyone who knows anything about them is at risk." Claire felt the weight of her words, heavy and stifling like fog closing in around them. "Why did you come here?" "I thought," she hesitated, flickering light on her somber face. "I thought I could find allies. I didn't realize they'd catch up to me." A sudden crash echoed in the alley, making Claire jump. "We don't have much time," she urged, glancing at Michael. "What do we do?" The woman's voice dropped to a whisper, urgency cutting through. "I have evidence. If we can get it to the right people, we can expose them." Claire swallowed hard. The fear inside her twisted into something sharper. Then let us do it. But as they forged a plan, another crash echoed, louder this time. The men were getting closer, their voices slithering through the uncertainty like venom. Get ready. Michael hissed, eyes wide with fear. Claire's heart thumped loudly. What kind of battle were they stepping into? And how were they going to confront a force with a grip so tight it reached into the deepest corners of the city? A moment of silence broke over them, heartbeat after heartbeat. Is this how we face it? The woman asked, voice shaking. The shadows loomed closer, anticipation thick in the air. Claire held her breath. The fight was just beginning, and every second counted. What awaited them on the other side of this door? In that moment, fear and bravery intertwined like serpents, ready to strike at the slightest chance. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the alley, growing louder, vibrating in Claire's chest. They're coming, she whispered, eyes darting. Her mind raced as she felt the walls of the cramped room closing in. Panic danced in her veins. What do we do? The woman pressed her back against the wall, squeezing her eyes shut. We have to find the evidence. If they catch us without it, her voice trailed off, fear painting her features. Michael scoured the dark room. Where is it? He demanded. In my backpack, just outside in the alley, the woman mumbled. But there's no way we can get it without being seen. Another crash, followed by the sound of bodies colliding with the ground outside. Claire's heart thundered, they were close, too close. We can't wait. We need that evidence, she said, the urgency in her voice rising. I'll go, Michael said, his eyes sharp. I'll create a distraction. You two stay here. No. Claire shot back, grabbing his arm. We stick together. If they catch you, he shook her off, jaw set. I can handle it. I'll give you enough time to grab it and come back. The shadows at the doorway pulsed, and Claire felt her breath hitch. They're almost here. In a sudden haze, Claire found herself lunging forward as Michael slipped outside, quick as a flash. Go, go, go. She hissed to the woman, who remained frozen in fear. Claire took a deep breath, forcing the lingering doubt to the back of her mind. We have to trust him. With a nod, the woman followed Claire, slipping carefully past the door just as a voice rasped nearby. Louis, their biggest threat, emerged from the shadows just feet away. Where did they go? He snarled, scanning the area. Claire and the woman hid behind a nearby crate. Claire's heart raced, thudding against her ribcage. She barely dared to breathe. What if he doesn't make it back? She whispered, worry dancing in her voice. With every second that passed, the chaos outside grew louder, punctuated by shouts and crashes. Michael was buying them time, but for how long? Suddenly, a loud shout pierced the air. Over here. A scuffle erupted just outside their hiding place, voices blending into a chaotic symphony of fear and adrenaline. Now! Claire shouted, her decision made. They darted out of their hiding spot, praying that the shadows would conceal them as they raced toward the alley. The cold air hit Claire's face, a jolt of reality. Ahead, she spotted Michael grappling with two of their attackers. Panic surged. Michael! She screamed, adrenaline pumping. He shot her a look, eyes fierce. Get the bag. With a burst of courage, Claire dashed past the fray, heart pounding as she reached the spot where the woman's backpack lay, littered with crumpled papers and a hard drive. The weight of it felt heavy in her hands. Grab it, let us go. The woman urged, tugging at Claire's arm, but just then, one of the attackers broke free, barreling toward them. Claire's heart dropped. Run. They sprinted back towards Michael, who was now surrounded but fighting furiously. Claire's gut twisted with fear. Michael. He glanced at her, nodding sharply. They had to face them together, or not at all. But in that pivotal moment, a shot rang out. A deafening explosion that shattered the night, forcing Claire to freeze. Down. The woman screamed, throwing herself against the pavement as metal clanged against brick. Time stopped. Claire was frozen, shock coursing through her veins. Michael stumbled, confusion flashing across his face, and then he went down. No! Claire screamed, the sound tearing from her throat. The world spiraled. The woman dragged Claire away just as more gunfire erupted. They had to run, but Claire's heart remained with Michael, a lump of terror lodged in her throat. Keep moving. The woman shouted, but Claire was paralyzed by the sight of her friend, lying there. Get up, get up. She begged silently. As they stumbled into the shadows of another alley, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to shatter into chaos. What would happen if they didn't make it? Could they trust the evidence? And as sirens began to wail in the distance, the darkness swallowed them whole, leaving unanswered questions hanging heavy in the air. Claire's heart thundered with dread and uncertainty. As they moved, the real fight was only beginning. And these shadows? They hid secrets that would rock their world. What lay ahead was unknown. But did they have any choice but to face it? Claire's breaths came in ragged gasps as they darted down the alley, trying to sink into the shadows. The echo of the gunshot lingered, a ghost curling around her thoughts. Michael, there should have been a sense of safety with the evidence secured, but the dread clawed at her. She turned back once, the night wrapping around her like a shroud. We can't leave him. She insisted, panic tightening her chest. The woman's grip tightened on Claire's arm. We have no choice. We'll come back for him, I promise. But right now, we need to get to safety. No. He's risking everything for us. Claire's voice was a raw whisper, each word marked by urgency. But she felt the weight of the decision heavy on her shoulders. Her instinct screamed for escape, yet her loyalty screamed against it. Suddenly, a loud crash came from behind, reverberating through the alley. It was them, Lewis and his gang, pushing through the chaos, looking for blood. Claire's heart raced as she felt the heat of fear curl in her stomach. We have to move. Now. With no other option, she tugged at the woman's arm, forcing her forward. They stumbled over debris, the old alley littered with memories of better days. They zigzagged through the darkness, staying low, weaving between crates and shards of forgotten glass. That a tense silence followed, the sirens blaring in the distance, wrapping the night in urgency. It echoed off the walls, amplifying Claire's terror, reminding her how close danger lurked. Her heart raced, hoping for a miracle, some sign that Michael was okay. Where do we go? Claire asked, breathless, a sharp panic creeping into her voice. The woman's face was lined with concern. The train station's just a few blocks away. We can hide there until the heat dies down, she replied, casting a glance over her shoulder. Let us go. Claire urged, pushing herself to move faster despite her fear. They navigated the maze of alleyways, every sound amplified. A clattering dumpster, the squeak of rats skittering between cracks, each noise turned into a threat. Claire's thoughts were a tempest. What if they could no longer trust each other? What if their lives were dictated by whispers in the dark? Suddenly, a shadow loomed ahead, and Claire stopped short. What is that? She breathed, squinting into the darkness. A figure stepped into the light, a man with a hood pulled low over his face. Anxiety surged as she froze, her breath hitching in her throat. But as he lifted his hands, revealing them to be empty, recognition clicked. Joseph? The woman's voice was shaky. The man nodded, stepping closer. Come on. I saw the chaos. We don't have much time. Claire's eyes bounced between the woman and Joseph. Trust was slipping through her fingers like sand. What are you doing here? She asked, an edge creeping into her voice. Helping you, he insisted, voice low, almost pleading. Why should we trust you? Claire demanded, her heart pounding fiercely. It's not about trust. It's about survival. Joseph urged, urgency brimming in his tone. We'll be dead if we don't get moving. Before Claire could respond, the tension in the air shifted. Voices echoed from behind them, Louis and his crew closing in. This way. The woman yanked Claire's arm, guiding them away from the approaching danger. They turned on their heels, running with adrenaline surging. The shadows of the city around them felt alive, pulsing with threat and uncertainty. I can't believe this is happening, Claire gasped, fear and confusion mixing inside her. We just wanted to do the right thing. Right or wrong, it won't matter if we get caught, Joseph said sharply. As they tore through the streets toward the station, every corner felt like a trap. Then, abruptly, Claire halted, her heart dropping. Wait. What if Michael there's no time? Joseph cut in, urgency biting sharper than her words. We risk everything if we turn back. But the look in her eyes burned with resolve. He's out there. We owe him. As the sirens grew closer, she made her choice. She stepped forward. We're going back for him. The air thickened with tension, and Claire could already see shadows creeping behind her. Would they make it in time? Joseph hesitated, a struggle evident on his face. Would he help? Or would they be left to face this danger alone? The footsteps behind them echoed louder. Choices had to be made, and the clock was ticking. Would they turn back together, or was the darkness about to claim yet another victim? Claire's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she scanned the shadows, searching for a sign of Michael. She felt like a marionette with frayed strings, yanked in every direction by the gravity of her choice. Are you serious? Joseph exclaimed. We can't go back. Already his voice trailed off, replaced by the sound of footsteps heavy, determined, and growing closer. Then let them come. Claire shouted, a fierceness igniting within her. If we don't look for Michael, he could be in danger. We have to help him. Her insides twisted at the thought of abandoning him. The woman beside her, Jessica, stared at Claire, her expression a mix of admiration and fear. We can't just go running into danger. We need a plan. But impatience surged through Claire, pushing her toward the darkness. A plan? Our plan right now is to get him before it's too late. She started towards the direction they had come from, the urgency growing with every step. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the stillness, glass shattering, followed by a hoarse shout. There they are. Louis's voice pierced the night, ominous and relentless. Heart racing, Claire felt the chill of dread creep down her spine. Before she could think any further, Joseph lunged forward, catching Claire's arm. This isn't a game. If we don't disappear right now, we're done. And just like that, the choice was confronted. Claire cast a lingering glance back at the alley behind them, her mind racing. What awaited Michael? Would he fight, or would he be overpowered? She had seen fear conquer men before. No. The word escaped her lips like a prayer. He deserves better, we owe him that. The footsteps thudded closer. Louis's men were on their tails. It was now or never. Okay, but we have to be smart about it, Jessica said, anchoring Claire with a look of determination that sparked hope. Let us create a distraction. Draw them away. Joseph nodded, though uncertainty flickered in his gaze. What do you have in mind? Claire's mind raced, a plan forming, chaotic but exhilarating. We'll split up. Jessica and I will circle back to where we last saw Michael. Joseph, you need to lead them in the opposite direction. Draw them out. Joseph hesitated before taking a deep breath, determination replacing doubt. Fine. Let us do it fast. Turning to Jessica, he whispered, stick close to her. Keep her safe. Claire wanted to scream at the thought of splitting up, but time was slipping between her fingers like sand. Go. She urged, and as soon as Joseph took off, a wave of panic crashed over her. She wouldn't know if he'd make it. Let us move. Jessica said, pulling Claire back to the darkness of the alley. They dove into the shadows, the world around them transforming into a chaotic blur. Every sound felt magnified as adrenaline spiked. It was a trap, luring them back to danger, but their hearts burned with the fire of hope. As they neared the alley where they last saw Michael, Claire's thoughts spiraled. What if they were too late? What if they never found him? But then, just ahead, they saw a figure moving, silhouetted against the dim light. Michael! Claire shouted, her voice a whisper wrapped in desperation. The figure turned, a moment stretched infinitely as recognition flashed between them. But before she could take another step, a harsh hand clamped down around her mouth from behind. Shoo! It was someone she didn't recognize, a malevolent shadow clutching at her, whispering low. You're coming with me. Claire's heart plummeted, trapped in a vice of darkness and dread. She fought against the grip, a scream trapped in her throat. And then, chaos erupted as shadows collided, blurring the line between friend and foe. The night was alive with shouts, confusion, and the terrible looming promise of fate. Would they save Michael? Or were they already too late? The shadows closed in, and Claire's sanity slipped as she was dragged into the darkness. Would she ever escape? And what if, just what if, Michael was right behind her, fighting for breath, but powerless to help? Claire felt panic crash over her like a tidal wave, drowning her in fear and dread. The grip around her mouth tightened, the breath cool against her skin sending shivers down her spine. She wrestled with the shadowy figure, her instincts screaming at her to fight back, to break free. Let go of her. A voice echoed through the darkness, ringing with authority. Claire's heart soared, a glimmer of hope igniting within her. It was Michael. But just as she strained to pull away from her captor, the figure released a forceful shove, sending her tumbling to the ground. Dazed, Claire blinked up, straining to comprehend the chaos unfolding around her. Shadows flickered in the alley, flashes of confrontation, bodies colliding, grunts of struggle. Jessica was yelling, her shouts cutting through the confusion. Claire! Fight back! Claire's gaze darted around, searching frantically for Michael amid the turmoil. She spotted him, grappling with Louis, their movements a violent dance of desperation. Rage clawed at her throat, she couldn't let them take him. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, Claire scrambled to her feet. She charged towards the fray, fists clenched, a whirlwind of determination. Her hesitation melted away as the adrenaline coursed through her veins. She'd fight for him, even if it meant risking everything. Louis caught sight of her just as she closed the distance. A cruel grin spread across his face. You chose the wrong side, Claire. With a swift motion, he pushed Michael back, causing him to stumble. Fear trickled into Claire's veins, but she wouldn't back down. Get away from him. Her voice rang loud, fiercer than she felt. Louis rolled his eyes, his attention back on Michael. You're out of your depth here. This doesn't have to be messy. Suddenly, Jessica lunged forward from the side, striking Louis with a wild determination. The blow caught him off guard, and Claire seized the moment. She rushed in, swinging a punch aimed at his jaw, adrenaline blurring the line between fear and fury. The crack of bone echoed, and Louis staggered back, dazed. Claire felt a flicker of triumph, but it was short-lived. He recovered quickly, eyes blazing with fury. You'll pay for that. As Louis lunged back toward them, Claire saw Joseph dash into the alley, a baseball bat from the ground in his grasp. Get down! He shouted, swinging the bat with all his strength. The impact landed solidly against Louis's shoulder, making him howl in pain. Now! Joseph yelled at them, urgency radiating from his voice. We need to get out of here. But before they could make a move, more shadows emerged at the far end of the alley. Louis's men were closing in, reinforcing their ranks, and dread washed over Claire. Run! Claire shouted, grabbing Michael's arm and pulling him toward the exit of the alley. It felt surreal, adrenaline pulsing through her limbs as they dashed forward, the sound of chaos echoing behind them. They pushed through the darkness, racing past flickering streetlights, the world blurring into streaks of shadow and light. Claire's mind raced, filling with the possibility of escape. But just as hope flickered in her chest, a burst of light caught her eye. A car pulled to the curb, headlights illuminating their path, a moment of salvation. But then it turned, and Claire's heart dropped. The driver was not an ally. Get in. The driver shouted, panic flaring in the air. It was a voice she recognized but had not expected to hear in this moment, sending a shiver down her spine. Don't get in, Claire. Michael yelled, his face etched with fear. She faltered, her instincts screaming at her to run. Who was the driver? Could it be a trap? A horrible twist of fate lingered in the air, thick with uncertainty that a heartbeat raced between them, every second a buried treasure of potential doom, and as she hesitated, the shadows of Lewis's men surged closer. What choice would she ultimately make? Would they find safety or plunge deeper into danger? In the chaos, Claire felt like her heart was caught in a vice, each beat threatening to suffocate her against the weight of the moment. She had one slim chance to decide her fate, and it felt impossible. The temptation to leap into the car's relative safety fought against every instinct that screamed to follow Michael. Get in. The driver shouted again, and Claire's stomach twisted. Claire. Michael called, determination etched in every feature. She turned back to him, seeing the fear in his eyes. Don't go, he implored, but something flickered in the driver's expression, a desperation that felt eerily familiar. I can help you. We're not safe here. Claire's instincts screamed that it was a trap, but time was running thin. Lewis's men would only need moments to close in. Without thinking, Claire ripped her gaze from Michael and lunged for the door of the car. Get down. Joseph shouted, swinging the bat again in a desperate attempt to keep the shadows at bay. The sound of chaos erupted, yells, thuds, and curses. Just as she climbed inside, she heard Michael shout one last time, Claire. Please. The door slammed shut, cutting him off. The driver stomped on the gas, and they were instantly swallowed by the night. A mix of relief and regret washed over her as the lights of the street blurred past. She looked back, catching a glimpse of Michael's stricken face before they vanished into the shadows. Who the hell are you? Claire demanded, adrenaline racing as she glanced at the driver. It was Jake, her ex-boyfriend, a man she had left behind long before this nightmare began. He met her gaze in the rearview mirror, anxiety etched across his features. I saw the fight break out, he said hurriedly. I know I'm not welcome, but I can't just sit back and watch you get hurt. You need to trust me. Trust you? Claire spat, her heart pounding. You vanished when life got tough. Why should I trust you now? Because I want to help. There's more at stake than you realize, he insisted, his urgency cutting through her anger. As he navigated the dimly lit streets, Claire's mind felt like a whirlwind. Did you follow me? Not at first. I heard rumors about a syndicate in the area. When I realized you were involved, I came looking. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. Suddenly, overhead lights reflected through the windshield, and Claire's breath caught. Are we being followed? Not yet, Jake replied, glancing over his shoulder. But we need a plan. Claire's thoughts cascaded through her. There was no turning back. We have to go back for Michael, she declared, her voice shaking with determination. Fingers tapping in rapid succession, Jake met her fiery gaze in the mirror. You can't be serious. I just saved your life. We can run, disappear. Michael helped us. He risked everything. Claire shouted, her heart racing. The memory of Michael's panic kept pushing her forward, fueling her resolve. Jake pulled to a stop at a dark intersection, headlights flickering ominously. You're asking me to drive back into the lioness den, he warned, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Well, we aren't going without backup, Claire said, mind racing. We can't leave him. She clutched her phone, thoughts whirling as a plan began to form. Call Joseph. He knows what to do. As Jake dialed on the speakerphone, Claire felt a grim determination settle in her chest. They would find Michael. They had to. Just moments later, Joseph's voice rang out, full of chaos. We're hiding in the train station. Lewis is hunting us down. Get everyone together. Claire blurted, cutting him off. We're coming back with help. But Claire, no buts. We're coming for you. The dark energy in her heart morphed into a specific, tangible purpose. The plans to confront their shadowy enemies began to merge into focus. Trust would take center stage, but Claire would ensure that loyalty wouldn't come into question again. "Hang tight, we'll be there," Jake promised as he gunned the engine in the direction of the madness. Claire's heartbeat echoed her resolve. As they sped towards the heart of danger, darkness clung to them. Every street looked the same, each block a haunting reminder that their lives were intertwined in more ways than they understood. They would face the storm together, no longer victims waiting for fate, allies willing to fight, and at that moment, Claire felt untouchable. She was ready to reclaim her life and reach for every ally, every secret they could unearth. The train station loomed ahead, a fortress in the night. Claire felt a rush of strength as they skidded to a halt. Would they manage to save Michael? Would the evidence lead them to expose the syndicate's dirty dealings? The answers were just beyond reach, waiting to be unraveled in the embrace of raw urgency. Claire stepped out into the night, determination flaring in her chest. "Let us do this," she shouted, bolstered by hope, a fierce glow lighting every dark corner of her heart, and in those shadows, a promise lingered, etched against chaos. They would not fall again. They would rise together. Now is the time to act. If you want more incredible stories like this, you need to subscribe immediately. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these adventures alive. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. It matters more than ever, so don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything. Let's conquer the darkness together.